Would like to highlight a couple of things that the teams found inside of the Cybertruck that are useful to the investigation. And that first and foremost is a military identification. We also found a passport. We found a Desert Eagle 50 caliber semi-automatic pistol. And if you'll notice on a lot of these guns that we're going to talk about here, they're almost just burnt beyond recognition as well. There's a SLR model B30 semi-automatic firearm, number of fireworks that were still in the vehicle that had to be removed. We found an iPhone and a smartwatch, and then several credit cards were also in the name of our subject. Our subject is 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger. He's of Colorado Springs, Colorado, born July 22nd of 1987. Now, as you'll see here on a picture of his driver's license, let's see, the question really still remains for me, and I know that there's a lot of you folks in the media that are identifying this person as the person in our vehicle. As I mentioned to you already, his body is beyond recognition, and I do still not have confirmation 100% that that is the individual that was inside of our vehicle. And so as I'm calling it now, the subject or person of interest, I will not come back until I have the confirmation through DNA or medical records that this is indeed in fact the subject inside of the vehicle. Now, further complicating this identification of this individual, we also discovered through the coroner's office the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. One of the handguns was found at his feet inside of the vehicle. Obviously, in how we're trying to identify him, and I'm feeling comfortable to give you this information, is a tremendous amount of substantial evidence to include he rented the Turo vehicle. There are 2 tattoos, one of which was on the stomach and one of which is on the arm, that we can see bits and pieces of it as in comparison to what it is that we now know he had on his body. That has given us a lot of confidence that this is, in fact, the same person, as well as which the clearly obvious, which is the credit cards, the military identification, the passport.
The question from this video that I have is, so you mean to tell me that this guy, burned himself, thoroughly, and it was beyond recognition, right? But somehow you were able to find a paper passport and a military ID that survived the explosion? There gotta be more to the story. I'm just saying. That's just my initial thoughts is like, yo, hold on. And shout out to Nick Sorter for posting this for me. But they're serious. It's like, huh? Somebody said it sounds like the fall guy to me. Was his body planted in a truck? Somebody says. Could be one of the things. Now, we're just gonna go over the information that we have that's developing today. And we have this breaking update from, I want to say Sean Ryan. There we go. Boom. Got his name. And he unveils new evidence on a Cybertruck bomber via Matt Livelsberger's email. And yeah, man, it don't get no better from here. Check this out.
You want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, in case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN, that's Operation Center, our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comms system.
So it sounds like he's somebody who was looking what the government is doing and decided that he was going to try to take matters into his own hands. But this way?
There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive V-bid. Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive V-bid. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a V-bid was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
You fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice and he goes, you said that word V-bid. Can you tell me what that is? For your audience, a V-bid, for your audience who has not been in the GWOT for the last 20 years, a V-bid is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw at Trump Tower. So backing up, he says,
I mean, I would imagine if you are a cop or officer to some degree investigating this, you should have an idea what that is, right?
I am armed and have a massive V-bid. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Here's where he gets into the other stuff. And this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with redacted IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110, that's 1st Battalion, 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
What is USAP? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. But I checked his credentials on LinkedIn. So that was the first thing I did. I went to his LinkedIn page. First thing I noticed was all of his bona fides were in place. He has all the UAS training from USASOC and everything else. And so I said, okay, at least the guy knows what he's talking about with drones. That was a very rough dig into the guy. But my issue was I couldn't validate or verify any of this information. And I told him that. And how I responded to him was in a subsequent email. I said, this is obviously a very big deal, but I don't have anything to verify this information with. Talking about gravitic propulsion systems without evidence just makes me another UFO talking head. Like, I'm not going to go on my social media page and start talking about UFOs and anti-gravity systems and everything. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't. And he said, can I get on Fox News Contact on Signal as well as Sean's show? Hegseth would be good too. That was his last message to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, what is a gravitic propulsion system?
To be honest with you, it is a fancy term you're going to find in science fiction. You won't find it in any, as far as I know, you won't find this in any kind of official manual or, scientific research. This is all science fiction. So, but what struck me is his use, what strikes me now, not then, but what strikes me now is his use of a very specific term that nobody else would call it. If you asked me, I would say an anti-gravity propulsion system. That's how I would describe it because I don't know this stuff. He said gravitic propulsion system.
Was he court so many questions? Was he coerced to do this in any kind of way? I don't know. Was somehow he being used as the fall guy? Was somebody else? Did somebody else inflict that bullet wound? The theory of using a different body in auto driving into the Trump hotel. I don't know. What's the most shocking revelation from the emails? I can say that the Las Vegas FBI just verified that they have received this info, and it appears to be from him during their press conference today. And it's also being said that FBI is going the route of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, Matthew Levisberg, Tesla, Cybertruck, and breaking update. Timing is everything. Somebody said, reading a few comments, whoa, this is crazy. Our Pentagon, NSA, and everybody else involved make America safe again. FBI just confirmed this is legit from him. So yeah, we're seeing that. Now we're gonna go ahead and see the FBI speak right now. And according to the data received from the vehicle by Tesla engineers, the Cybertruck had Matthew Levisberger detonated in Las Vegas. Was not in full self-driving mode at any point. This indicates that he manually drove the truck before he took his own life with the firearm just before the explosion occurred outside of the Trump International Hotel. So this clears up the conspiracy or the theory that I just had. Let's check it out.
You can see the phone here in the vehicle. It's very burnt from the outside. You can see another image here. But we're able to take this phone and be able to extract the data using a variety of different tools. And in that, we've identified a variety of information. But one thing in particular is there was an application in there that the suspect used to take notes. In that application, one of the notes is titled Surveillance Log by the Suspect. It appears to be more of a journal of activity. It dates for about 10 days leading up to the incident from December 21st to December 31st of this past year. In that surveillance log, or as we would like to call it, a journal, because it's more of a diary of activity that he's conducting, we identify multiple locations that match what we have in the route. We identify activity that we've matched. So, for example, him purchasing firearms, him purchasing camping equipment or other types of equipment that were used in this incident matched what our data showed in terms of the route and the video surveillance we were recovering along that route. Beyond the operational activity, I want to also get a little bit into the post-blast investigation. So make no mistake, this is a suicide vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, or short, it's a suicide VBID. We know also, as mentioned by the sheriff yesterday, there was a self-inflicted gunshot wound by the suspect. The coroner was very specific in their examination. It was an intraorbital gunshot wound, which essentially means that the suspect put the firearm in his mouth and discharged the gun, and ultimately the round came out to the left side of his head. In addition to that, in terms of our assessment of the post-blast to confirm that he's the only individual involved and the only individual in the vehicle, we did a variety of video and photo comparisons to match the clothing. So if you look here, for example, this is a video in Las Vegas, and you're going to see in a moment here where he parks the Tesla truck. He comes out, and you're going to see some descriptive clothing that matches some of the other video that we've recovered along the route. Please keep in mind, this is a very extensive investigation, so there's a lot of content for us to review and examine. We're just showing examples and samples as we get them. There's more information as we go through it. But in this video, you can see even the distinctive jacket that he is wearing in that vehicle. The other thing that's important is the sheriff mentioned yesterday that Tesla sent to us engineers to come to Las Vegas to help us extract data from the vehicle. Thanks to their support, we were able to extract an SDMI chip from the Tesla vehicle, and Tesla was able to confirm to us using the data from the vehicle that the vehicle was not in full self-driving mode at any time during this incident. Finally, the last category just to touch on is motive, which I know everyone is very eager to try to understand and be able to explain what happened. I'll reiterate what the sheriff said is we still have a large volume of data to go through and a lot of content to go through. As you know, with any one of our devices, there's thousands, if not millions, of videos and photos and documents and web history and all of those things that need to be analyzed. But with that, just as a preview for as we get information, we're trying to be as transparent as possible. There were a couple pieces of content we thought were important to share for now. One is in the note application. He seemed to have two letters. One letter in particular, as you can see here, this is an excerpt from that letter. He says, fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. He goes on to explain a variety of other grievances and issues, some political, some personal, a variety of other things, which we will do our best to release very quickly here. But then there's a second letter where there's some more excerpts. This one seems to be dated after the fact in that notes application. And in there, you can read a couple of the excerpts. We are the United States of America, the best country, people to ever exist. But right now, we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than to stun with fireworks and explosives? Why did I personally do it now? I need to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the lives I took. I'd like to just also expand on that and understand that these are just excerpts. In there, he does offer additional information that is varying on the spectrum in terms of political grievances, issues about the conflicts elsewhere, not here, domestic issues, societal issues, a variety of other things, including personal challenges as well. We are intending to release those initial letters so people can understand best they can what the person's thought process was at one point in time. However, please understand there is still a lot more content to go through, and that may change. There may be a lot more information that we recover that explains either more or shows a change in mindset at different times. Just before I turn it over to FBI Special Agent Spencer Evans, I just want to take a note and just mention what the sheriff said, which is our counterterrorism section and all of the people involved in this have been working around the clock 24/7, tirelessly, truly through the night. They are second to none, and we really appreciate everything they're doing. With that, turn it over to the FBI.
Did I just hear that correctly? I don't remember hearing nothing about no gunshot wound. This is just taking a darker turn for sure. Any word on the video footage yet? Other data from the Cybertruck? Somebody says FBI will want to cover up their dealings in it. CIA will want to cover up their dealings in it. Tesla will want to cover it up so people don't think their vehicle's capabilities were used in a cover up. Not buying any of this. Don't trust anyone. Somebody says, great job by Tesla teams. And what a big dummy, somebody else wrote. And of course, people are still going, he took his own life despite this information that's coming out. All I know is, man, we are in a state of shock, America, and I just can't wait for January 20th. I know it's going to take some time, but